The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight's guest is Andre Wade. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alan.
Wow. So happy you were able to make it all the way up to Mamaroneck today.
Yeah,
It's
I know,
really
right?
exciting.
On a beautiful rainy day.
But JT told me that you're a very special person and I should have you on the show. So I'm really happy you did because, from what I've read about you and what we've talked about, you're living an amazing life.
Thank you.
So where do you come from?
The Bronx, New York.
What part of the Bronx?
East 229th in Paulden is now known as the Wakefield area.
I know exactly. I mean, I'm from the Bronx too. I'm from the Northeast Bronx near Co-op City. I would say it with SH usually.
Yep.
Co-op something else.
Right down the block.
And like the Valley.
Yep.
That's where I'm from. Hammersley, Mickle and Hammersley.
I used to play ball all the time over there, Hafen Park.
Wow. So that's where I went to school from there. I lived on a dead-end block on Mickle Avenue where the Dyer Avenue train.
I know exactly where it's
That's
at.
it. 3127 Mickle Avenue. My father moved out of there when he was 94 years old, and he bought it in like 1950 after World War II. So,
Wow.
So Bronx, yeah. So we're from the same neighborhood.
That's right. We're Bronx boys.
Well, JT wasn't from the Bronx, was he? Or
Not that I remember,
Right.
no. JT's a great guy.
Yeah.
That's Mr. John Thomas, right?
right.
Our mutual friend.
Mutual friend.
As we were talking about, he always looked out for me when I was young. He made sure that I had work and kept some money in my pocket. And coming from the Bronx, it's hard to keep money in your pocket.
He's a really good guy, an
Right.
excellent guy. So you started out in the Bronx, and what school did you go to? I'm interested.
First, I went to. I don't remember before.
But how about
grade
high school? What high school did you go to?
Went to Sousa. You remember
Oh,
John
sure.
Philip Sousa
Absolutely.
before
Yeah.
it closed?
Yeah.
And then I jumped around in high school.
Right.
That's where things started to get a little rocky for me.
Right.
So I went to DeWitt Clinton.
And I
for
went
a
to
little while.
Evander. So
Yep.
there it is. What can I say?
And I finished at Lehman
And
High School.
I went to Lehman College, so that's where I
Nice.
finished my college. But I finished when I was 33 years old or whatever. I went to Hollywood in between. I left college, came back, and finished up.
Nice.
So tell me a little bit about what you do.
No problem. So right now, I am a brand manager, talent manager. I manage brands, companies, celebrities, be they athletes, entertainers, and their businesses.
So what kind of brands do you, if you don't mind mentioning some of the brands that you manage at this
No
point?
problem. Everything from the Liberty Games, New York City Liberty Games.
That's cool.
Yep.
That is excellent.
Yep. It's all sports symposium out of Jacob Javits Center with my good friend and partner Vanessa Whitney.
Right.
It's over 700 girls come to play volleyball and get a chance to get seen for scholarships.
That's
and
great.
do
So are
things
they
like
like
that.
high school students or?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
So you're really not only giving back, but you're helping people achieve.
Absolutely.
That's it. It would have been nice if there were people like that for us.
Exactly. That's right.
So that is awesome. What people do you work with in terms of promoting? And
I've done everything from, I've got a guy now I'm working with named Anthony Drago. He's a motivational speaker. Same thing, motivates youth, helps me do youth symposiums, city to city, state to state, and my Inspire Sport camps. He just wrote a book called Go Prove Something.
Right.
It's about, kids doing more than is asked of them. And him breaking down the mindset, to me, that me and you come from.
Right.
Whereas you have to work a little bit harder than what's asked of you. Go prove something, but not prove it to your parents. Prove it to yourself.
Right, and I think I understand what you're saying because when we were growing up, not everyone won an award just for showing up. You had to demonstrate a prowess in something in order to achieve. Whereas now everyone has to get like an award. Everyone has to get like a little trophy, whether they in quotes deserve it or not.
I say it's the microwave society, right?
Right.
So we got used to the microwave in what, the 80s?
Yeah,
You
definitely.
say early
Absolutely.
90s.
It was the 80s. Absolutely.
And I'm also a personal trainer.
Right.
And studying to be a nutritionist. So here's the key with the microwave.
Right.
The microwave heats the food up faster,
Right.
but the cancer rate skyrockets,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Right? So where my mind state is we have to get back to cooking food.
Right.
We all like to go to restaurants, 5-star restaurants, because the chef cooks the food.
Right.
It's the same thing. We need to bring that back into our household.
And it's the same thing, I think, with medicine, whereas we live in like if you're sick, you get a drug, you get an antibiotic, you get a painkiller, you get
Right.
this. When we were growing up, I mean, you'd be lucky if you get a couple of aspirin. You know what I mean? But now it's like, there's every kind of painkiller, and it's killing the best of us.
That's right.
I mean, look what happened to Prince, Michael Jackson.
Absolutely.
I mean, all this stuff. And it's just this excessive use of something that's a real quick way of taking care of business, whereas like instead of eating properly, living properly, and doing the right thing.
And that's part of my whole Inspire Sport campaign. That was a perfect segue.
Right.
That's part of my whole Inspire Sport campaign. It is nutritional education to teach down to the cellular, molecular level. I have doctors, nutritionists, and trainers, and people who train the human body every day. Right. And we go city to city, state to state with some of the world's professional athletes. The professional athletes are I always say, the salt and pepper on the steak. Right. But the steak is what that nutritional right. content that people need to know, that they need to eat whole foods, they need to eat better foods, and they need to treat their bodies before any sickness or disease.
No, I agree. I mean, even when I was in Hollywood, I used to do a lot of exercise. I used to eat all these, all kinds of different kinds of beans mm-hmm. and all kinds of good veggies and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Even because I knew if you breathe in the air in Hollywood, you were already a loser.
You might be finished.
You might be finished. But nowadays, I mean, there's so much fast food. I mean, the rate of obesity that we're dealing with, and kids just parents giving up on the kids giving up on themselves. I mean, right. So it's good to see that there's someone out there trying to inspire the young people, because
thank you.
It's we're losing a generation, and I think we might have lost a good portion of it already.
That's absolutely true. That was one of the reasons I wanted to attack it. Like we were talking about earlier, I had a staph infection. That's what this little scar is right here.
Oh, I thought you cut yourself shaving. I cut myself all the time.
Yeah. So I had a staph infection that turned into MRSA.
Wow,
right.
That was scary.
Yeah, mm-hmm. If you know anything about it, it's one of the deadliest viruses known to man right now. Oh, excuse me, bacterial right. Infections known to men right now.
Right.
And it pretty much put me in a very bad position health-wise. I was emaciated, my organs were failing. So at that time, I was a college athlete, we say a star at a very small Division II school. But the point is, when I got up off that bed, I always call it my deathbed, and came back from that experience, it really pushed me to go further into nutrition. The doctor told my mom, well, he has a bacteria in his blood that we have no idea what to do with it. He could drop dead at any moment. Right. So you have to understand that made me go from just training and working out to saying, let me look into what he just told my mom. Right. You see,
how old were you when that happened?
24.
Wow, just a kid.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And so I said, so from that moment on, I'm 37 now.
Youngster.
Right. So from that moment on, I have been, digging, talking with doctors, talking with nutritionists, and it became a lifelong mission for me to really give that to people. I feel like I found out all this information. Right. We can cure, in my opinion, certain forms of diabetes.
Oh, absolutely.
Without
with
the
nutrition.
pills. That's right. Without the medicine, we can keep our blood level through cinnamon and chromium. Right. Our blood sugar levels even in balance. Right. Things.
And the other thing, like with medication, right? Mm-hmm. It might cure that symptom, but you wind up getting like 5 or 6 other symptoms that you don't want. That make life
that's right.
not worth living.
Like
what I mean?
What did the commercials say? It may cause accidental death. Right. like, who wants that?
Right. Maybe it'll make your arm feel good, but your leg's gonna fall off.
Exactly.
So it's good to see that there's people like you out there, mm-hmm. and especially for the young people. So how do you reach out? How do you get to the young people? How do you
So that is,
how do you
yeah,
do
no problem. So that is one of the reasons why I was led by my former mentor, Marcus Gaynor. He was a great guy. He was a powerhouse in the entertainment industry.
Yes.
I met him when I was finishing up my career at 29
Wow.
as a pro athlete.
And that's we'll get back to that. But that's something that is remarkable. A lot of pro athletes, when they're early 30s, late 20s, that's when they finish their career, and they have their whole life ahead of them.
Right.
And a lot of them aren't prepared. But that's a separate conversation. I mean, because all they did was their athletics.
Exactly.
Even through school.
One thing.
Right. And then all of a sudden, life goes on. I'm sorry to stop that. So tell me about Mr. Gaynor. Gaynor?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes.
So Mr. Gaynor, I would say was a light to the world, but he was definitely a light in my life.
Right.
And he used to always urge me. He used to say, Dre, you have all this experience, and I see you giving back to the children wherever you go.
That's so good.
And he would say, inspire them, Dre. You can do it. And that's honestly where Inspired Talent came from.
And Inspired Talent is the name of your
Company.
Company.
Yep, brand management company.
And are you a solo act, or do you have?
Oh no, I have great people working with me.
That's awesome.
A great team. Like I said, you met Miss Whitney,
Right.
but no, the most wonderful people.
And are they inspired as well? Inspiring
yes,
as well?
they have to be.
That's it.
That's a company mandate.
Right. That's awesome. So, beyond that, what other things are you doing? What other famous people or famous activities are you aligned with?
I got the pleasure to be mentored briefly by Magic Johnson.
Oh yes.
That was one of the.
Actually, could we share a couple of
Sure.
stills that you brought in? Because
Sure.
I think because you mentioned Magic Johnson, I know you have a picture with him
Yep.
and a picture with some of the other people.
Sure.
So I'd like to have the opportunity to. Oh, there it is. It's right there.
Yep.
Okay. And you have some others that you.
Oh yeah, I briefly worked with Victor Cruz with the Cruz Foundation. That's Chris Canty and DJ Clark Kent. Chris Canty was the starting defensive tackle for the championship New York Giants.
Wow.
And that's Victor Cruz. And he does, again, when you asked me earlier, how do we reach the kids?
Right.
That was a giant symposium at Basketball City. It was over 2,000 kids there. Wow.
And that's how you reach them, right? Because you get a lot of, there's always this negative stuff that also, you hear all the bad things that professional sports people are doing, taking, illegal substances, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to see that there are really good guys out there trying to help the kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We gotta give back. That was a big thing for me. Again, coming from where I came from, I didn't, coming from the Bronx, me and you were talking about it
right.
earlier, being, mixed African-American descent, I feel like there weren't too many options. Right. Honestly, there were a lot of trade jobs and things like that, but I didn't want to work a trade job.
What a waste of life. I'm not saying that it's bad to do, but look where you are now. Imagine if you had gone down that road. Not that it's a bad road,
right.
but how many more people you're inspiring now.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I wanted. I wanted my light to shine brighter, right. Honestly. I had an art talent, so they wanted me to go away to art school at a very young age to go to France. Wow. Believe it or not.
I believe it.
Yeah. So my mom pushed me. She said, no, Andre, do your art. It's going to carry, it's going to take you far. But by the time I turned 17, it was actually Coach K from Duke called my house after seeing me on West 4th Street and said, basketball can change your life. So it's one of the reasons why, even though I do music, entertainment, branding for companies, it's one of the reasons why I've kept sports such an integral part of what I do, because sports blessed me. It gave me a chance to see the world. It's right. It's all about, I always say, the box that we're in, right?
That's true.
I was in one box in the Bronx that most Bronx kids don't get out of.
That's right.
When I went to school in Ohio and started traveling and playing ball, my disposition started to change. I started to see that young kids in New Orleans, have the same issues that we had in the Bronx.
That's it.
You see, so that's again that formulation of inspired, to where I said one day I want to be able to help the kid in New Orleans, but I need more of a bigger reach. And that's where you see the professional athletes are helping to come in, and I've been very blessed.
And you've actually changed their lives, I'm sure, too, because you're giving them an opportunity to shine as well. So, I mean, it's all good. It is all good, right?
Thank you.
And do you see bigger and bigger opportunities for this, you think, in the future? Or,
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. We're doing things now with the Serrano sisters, Cindy and Amanda Serrano.
I'm sorry, I don't know who they are.
No problem. Two young women from Brooklyn.
Yes.
Are amazing fighters. They're both championship belt holders, boxers.
Oh my God.
Right. So Amanda is on her way up. Cindy's already, at the peak of her career,
Right.
and Amanda's on her way up. She's holding 5 belts right now.
Right.
So it's stuff like that. I really do. When I say inspire the world, hopefully one day, like a lot like Muhammad Ali did. We'll do a fight in Africa, and it'll be a woman fighter.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
It.
We'll be changing the.
But do you feel that, I mean, sports obviously changed your life, but
Absolutely.
there's also the impact that sports could have in a negative way towards like concussions and things like that. I mean, so as an accountant, which I do in my real life,
your day job.
in my day job, there's a cost-benefit analysis. I mean, how do you reconcile those things? I mean, in terms of how do you, is it, I mean, is changing a life worth getting a concussion? That's
good question. I mean, it depends. I do push. I'm one of those guys, right? Like you said, I do push sports to the parents because like you said, I weigh the pros and the cons.
Right.
And I always tell the parents when we do our camps and stuff that
Right.
sports gave me more than it hurt me.
Right.
Yeah, I have. Squeaky knees right now because of playing pro ball.
Right.
But I also, at one time lived in an 8-bedroom mansion and lived all my dreams by the time I was 24.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
So again, that's it. But you're one of the lucky ones because when you became 29 or 30 or whatever, or now, you were able to, like a lot of people's dreams end at the end of that.
You know what's interesting about that? Basketball wasn't my dream. What I'm doing now was my dream. And I mean that from
so
when
was
I
a
was
stepping stone?
when I was in 3rd grade.
Yes.
I never forget my teacher. I wrote down. She asked me, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to own multiple businesses and affect positive change in the world." And she looked at me and she said, "You are a very different kid." She said, "Most kids say I want to be an NBA basketball athlete. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a baseball player." Right. She said, "You want to affect business?" And I said, "Yes." Right. So, sports, professional sports, for me was a stepping stone to be who I really.
And you survived it, and you've thrived from it. So, do you help? I mean. How about the people who haven't made it? Have you reached out to them at all to help them?
100%. So, and again, that's why I've reached back with Inspire. A lot of what I do, whether I'm working with the young entertainers, to me, a lot of that is reaching back.
Right. I hear you. And young entertainers could go in different directions in terms of the way their lifestyle is. And I know because everyone who was younger once has seen or has been actually involved in those kind of choices of, you come into a fork in the road, do you go left, or you go right?
Exactly.
How do you help them? I mean, do you inspire them to go to the right or to the left? The right, not the right meaning, the right direction.
Yes. I've actually grouped right now with a investment banking company.
Cool.
And part of what we do is we give them life advice. I always say one of my mantras is that I want my entertainers and my athletes, a lot like me, long after they've stopped entertaining, long after the show ends, they still live a good life, a healthy lifestyle, and a life of value. I really preach that. I want people to give value to their lives and their world every day, right? Each one of us has our own little world, our own microcosm. Right. It would be you, your family, and all the people that know you and affect you.
And what you've created out of your life.
Exactly. So my mantra is that in all that we do, you don't need to be a pro athlete to inspire the world. And that's where that came from. You getting out the door every day, being a lawyer, like you
I
said.
wish I was a lawyer. No, I'm the finance guy, but I work for Legal Services NYC.
Okay. So being the finance guy,
Mm-hmm.
if your son or even your grandchild sees you,
Right.
and he says, well, if Alan can do that,
Right.
I
Well, that's
can.
it. Yeah, you model. You're a model. You wind up modeling for the people who you live with, and who. But and it's role model. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly. We're all somebody's role model,
Right.
you know.
But either negatively or positively.
That's right, and that's where it comes from.
Right.
I want people to realize that whether they know it or not, they are inspirational. But like you said, we want to be inspirational more towards the good.
Right. And you are. I mean, just think of all the people you're helping. I saw there was a picture, I guess, of you with a bunch of the girls, and those girls are all the high school girls.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
what was it like lifting them, helping them? I mean,
Oh man, that was absolute fun. Again, that was with Vanessa and working with her volleyball.
Right. But I mean, and how did that? I mean, are there success stories from that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the young ladies' mothers was telling me that she actually transitioned one of the volleyball players from playing basketball.
Oh wow.
And she was like, she loves volleyball so much. She got offered a scholarship, this and that. The young lady felt that volleyball was something where she could keep her womanhood. Right. And she felt.
I hear you. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that because it's not politically correct to say it, but I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So she was really big on volleyball.
I'm sure the mom was happy about that as well.
Right.
That's
right.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was happy for
And
that.
do you hear? Then the next question, because we're talking about moms and dads. Do you interact with the young people's parents that you've helped?
100%.
And what's that like? I mean, how does that make you feel?
Honestly, that is part of the real beauty. I know, right? Children are easier than older people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I know I'm changing the child's life. Children are sponges.
Right.
They soak everything up. And in general, if you're only trying to give them good stuff, they're going to soak up all the good in the room.
That's it.
But the parents, right? All of us older people, we've been through life. We've been knocked around a couple of times, so we have a little bit of a harder shell. But the beauty of these camps and these business things that I've been doing is seeing that hard shell melt on the parents and seeing them.
I mean, they must love you, man. I mean, for the changes that you're offering them, a different perspective. I grew up in the Bronx too. Thank God I went to Hollywood, and it was just on a fluke, and that at least gave me a chance to see what the country was like, and it changed my life.
Right.
But if there was a possibility you might not have gotten out of the Bronx.
Exactly.
And what would you? I mean, could you imagine Andre, the Bronx Andre alone, without the international Andre?
No, and that's deep, right? No,
is deep.
I can't.
And that's good that you can't, because who wants to? But I mean, there's so many people who are forced into that situation.
Right.
Do you think they're forced in it? Well, there's no opportunities. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
There's not, there's only one of you. I mean, there's a lot of people, but not everyone's doing what you're doing.
Right.
So how do you inspire others to do what you're doing?
Right. It's been I've been blessed.
Yes.
It's been really a conversation. Like I say, I've walked with a couple of giants, in the industry. I've been blessed, right, to be a professional athlete and, through hard work and tenacity. But the most beautiful thing that all of it brings together is the creation of Inspire. People are really picking up, like when I talk to Victor, I talk to my friend Julian Talley, and they said, you know what, Dre, I just want to be a part of it.
Right.
I just want to be a part of what you're doing. If it's really about inspiring people and giving back, I want to be a part of it. So I feel like that's the fire that catches.
Is there a way that people could help, or at least reach out to you, maybe if they want to find out more about your information, or maybe try to figure out a way of joining the army that you've created of helping people?
Absolutely. You can find us at inspiretheworld.org.
Right.
Or email is on the page.
Right.
And,
are you thinking of expanding in terms of your reach? Because there's a lot of kids who need your help.
Yeah, like I said, we're looking into right now doing things internationally.
That's good.
Like I said, I just started another company, a production company called Global Party Solutions.
Right.
But part of that is beyond just throwing events and parties, so to speak, situation. It's throwing destination events where we can expand the inspire reach of what we're doing
That's really,
worldwide.
I think that's so important because you look at the way the world is today, and you know, kids all over the world have no hope. You know,
Right.
and you know, you could think of the young Andre who was stuck in the Bronx with no hope before, let's say, basketball came into your life.
I do. I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind every day.
Right.
Honestly, it never leaves me.
And it's sad, you know. I mean, especially the way the world is today. I mean, you need people to inspire you.
Exactly.
You know? That's it.
And you know, I look at it like everything that we do, from this glass on the table
Right.
to the pants that you're wearing, you know, everything was inspired by somebody. You know, somebody said, I need something to hold my water.
Right.
You
That's
know what
it.
I mean?
Exactly.
Somebody said, I need something more comfortable to walk outside in than 2 pieces of leather.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, that's what I feel. Or every good thing comes from that real inspiration, and we can all pull that inspiration. It's available to all of us, you know.
And the thing is, though, that sometimes, like you said, with the parents, sometimes the parents are just so worn out they don't see, they're so used to their normal daily grind that they can't really help their kids, and that's where people like you come in. And I mean, as a parent, you know, there's been like, my daughter especially, my daughter was able to go to the Mamaroneck schools, and they had this thing called the PACE program, and it changed her life. What was it? It was this theater program every single day, part of the school curriculum. And that changed her life.
Right.
You know, she became an award-winning choreographer. You know?
Right.
So without that, I wonder where she would have gotten her inspiration, you know?
Same here, same with me. And that's what I was telling you. Part of the programs that my mom had me in when I was young,
Right.
Those art programs, they took me up to colleges, and you know, and
Right.
it showed me, oh, you know, I can live in a different world, so to speak, and may be able to actualize
And that was
different
beautiful
things.
that what your parents did, but not every parent does that to people. And
Well,
just think of that's
why we're here.
Right. But you know, think of all those. I mean, not that you want. I'm always the pessimistic guy looking back, saying, think of all the people that could have, you know, like the waste of youth, you know. But you're here to make sure that the waste.
And I was just going to say, you know, that's part of my story. I was almost one of those people. I was almost one of those youth. I was in trouble with the law.
Right.
You know, for most of my youth, I was on the wrong side of the law.
And I can't see that in you. I mean,
Thank you.
You know, I see a beautiful person.
Thank you.
I see someone with a pure heart, you know,
Thank you.
and who's on a mission to change the world, right?
Thank you, absolutely.
And you have changed the world. You've changed people's lives. You changed one person's life. You changed the world.
That's
right?
true.
So you have a lot to be proud of, and I'm happy you're successful. And I'm really happy that JT
Oh yeah,
brought you
John
to
is the man. Well, you know, he kept me here. You know, he fed me.
Well, he kept you here to make sure you came on my show.
That's right.
When you were 17, you said, you know, that guy Alan's going to have the way to go, and I want to make sure that he's on that show. And then
right.
I'll tell you, this show, I love this show. This show has been, I've been able to meet unbelievable people, and you're definitely one of them.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same about you.
Well, I haven't done as great things as you have.
Not true, like you just said. You know, hey, look, you never know. Everybody that you interview, as you know, walks away with a piece of you.
Right, but unfortunately, everybody that does come on the show has to walk away because there's one thing left to say. That's a wrap. Good night, folks.